911, what's your emergency? 911, what's your emergency?
Be advised, Car 4 has control of the pursuit. Proceed with caution.
Hey everybody, how are you guys all doing tonight? I have a surprise for everyone. I have Sheryl McCollum backstage, and you guys who have been with me the last few months have seen Sheryl on my show. For those of you who are not familiar with her, let me give you an introduction of her, please. Sheryl is an Emmy award-winning CSI from CBS 46's CSI Atlanta. She's the director of the Cold Case Investigative Research Institute. She's also the founder of that institute. She's a writer for Crime Online, forensic and crime scene expert for Crime Stories with Nancy Grace, and she's a CSI for a Metro Atlanta Police Department. Sheryl holds a master's degree in criminal justice with an emphasis on policing, and she is the co-author of a textbook called Cold Case: Pathways to Justice. She started the Research Institute, the Cold Case Investigative Research Institute, as a collaboration between universities and colleges that bring researchers, practitioners, students, and the criminal justice community together to advance techniques in solving cold cases and assisting families and law enforcement with solvability factors for unsolved homicides, missing persons, and kidnapping cases. She has specialized training in cold case investigation, crime scene investigation, fingerprinting and identification, homicide investigation, wound pattern interpretation, bloodstain pattern analysis, statement analysis, hostage negotiation, and forensic anthropology, clandestine grave, marijuana examiner, bone identification, street gangs, and human trafficking. Some of her notable cases are the Boston Strangler, Natalie Wood, Zodiac, Tupac Shakur, Rebecca Zahau, Chandra Levy, Natalie Holloway, Amber Hagerman, Honey Malone, Susan Powell, Tammy Jackson, Nicole Smith, Abby Williams, and Libby German, and Moore's Ford Bridge lynching. She's had appearances on 2020, Good Morning America, Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. She has been at CrimeCon multiple years as a speaker and presenter. She is been on America's Most Wanted Overdrive, Dr. Oz, CSI Atlanta, and NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt. She holds many accolades: the President's Innovation Award, the Golden Apple Teacher of the Year, Police Department Employee of the Year 2017 and 2018, voted by her peers. She's an Emmy Award winner for CSI Atlanta True Crime Special, Metro Atlanta Crime Commission Award, and the Department of Justice Award for the 100 Olympic Games Crisis Response. She's an amazing woman. She's married to Walt, her high school sweetheart, and she has 2 college-age children, Huck and Caroline. Everybody, please give a warm welcome to my good friend, Sheryl McCollum. And Frankmeister is with us.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi, Sheryl.
that was an insane introduction. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's great to meet you, Sheryl.
Thank you. I appreciate it, honey.
You deserve all the accolades that you have. Seriously.
A lot.
I always look for you when I want to know about a case, and I want to know. I'm like, if this is a high profile, especially, you're gonna weigh in and give your opinion, and it's important because I think you do really, really, really important work, and I think that you have the experience that that we, the layperson, doesn't. So you can bring things to the party, so to speak, in the conversation that the rest of us have no idea about.
Well, I appreciate that, but I'm going to tell you, I have a mantra, and I will say it here. Anybody call a case, and everybody should try. Everybody has a vocation and an avocation. You're going to see things I don't know anything about. Don't read music, for example. I mean, we had a scene, music was part of it. I would have never known it because I couldn't read it. So there's all kind of things, whether it's tattoos or music or architecture. I mean, you can add so much. And I'm a firm believer, add as many people to a case that you can,
So I understand that this past week you made a trip. You went to Delphi.
I went to Delphi. Ooh, mercy. Y'all, it's something. I have never seen people camping out. That was really, and I was shocked by the limited number of seats. Like, I knew people were camping out. I knew that was a thing. I didn't really understand how small that courtroom was till I got in it. There's literally 4 rows of people on each side with only 9 seats on each row. That's it. And then you figure the family on both sides, media that have passes, that leaves very little room for the people scrambling for those last seats.
Oh yeah, Frank was there all week last week, and he's been in the court for every court appearance by Richard Allen since he was arrested. So he's been following pretty well, and he has a really, really good rapport with the family, and they trust him, and which is important. And pardon?
Which family?
The Patties.
The Patties.
The Germans.
Libby's family.
But it is important. It's solid and necessary on both sides. And you've got 2 families sitting there, and they both have opinions and facts and the way they see it. But I mean, obviously the Patties, that's the family that I know too. Kelsey, better than the rest of them, but between Kelsey and Becky, I mean, they're the ones that,
the advocates. They're the advocates.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I've just started to get a little bit to know Tara a little bit, but Kelsey and Becky are the ones that I've been able to kind of interact with. And, you know, and I got to meet Becky in April, and it was an amazing, amazing thing. She's an amazing lady. I spent about 2.5 hours talking to her.
Yeah.
And we talked about everything and under the sun. And it was just a really good conversation. And she's just so down to earth and such a wonderful human being. And I hate that she's going through this.
I mean, besides the situation at hand with this case, outside of that, I mean, I don't see how people can treat that family the way they do, because if you got to know them like I have, I think people would have a second opinion of who the Patties are.
Agreed. And here's the bottom line. Somebody murdered their granddaughter.
And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. That happened in a horrific, unbelievable, unimaginable, gut-wrenching way. And they didn't arrest anybody. I mean, they literally are at the mercy of everybody in that courtroom.
They are.
They are. And they've been drugged through the ringer on social media over the years. And it's gotten worse, I think, in the last couple of years, even after Richard Allen's arrest, which is mind-boggling to me. But we still have people out there. And now, you know, I remember when you posted on Twitter this past week with the whole hair in Abby's, pinky finger, and you were like, it's a nothing burger. And they were like, everybody's that's running with it that's against the family. You know, this is like absolutely what they want to talk about now, that, you know, the family's involved because there's this one hair.
I mean, they don't want to use common sense. I mean, think about it. Yeah. If it's Kelsey's sweatshirt, what are the odds or the chances that one of her hairs is going to be on there?
100%.
And she was in her car.
Right.
Before she even got there. She spent the weekend in her house.
Of course. You know? And here's the bottom line. There's no female on the bridge. There's no female voice.
Mm-mm.
The obvious conclusion, without even testing it, you most likely know. Now,
right.
Would I have wanted that tested? Yes. I want to make sure it's not somebody's wife. I want to make sure it's not somebody's daughter that could be a potential suspect. However, after 7 years, I was pretty confident where it was going to go. And that's the reason I posted what I did. It wasn't a crystal ball moment. It wasn't saying, hey, we don't need evidence. Of course.
When I knew it was only one hair, I figured that it was going to be probably female, and it was probably going to be a family member.
Yep.
That's just kind of what I felt.
That's what immediately came to my brain immediately.
Mine too.
You know.
And listen, the thing that bugged me was when that was released and by who. So again, this done. You don't bring it up before. You don't bring it up a year ago. You don't bring it up 6 months ago. You don't even bring it up a month ago. You're going to wait until we're in jury selection and then
bring it up.
Just
exactly.
So people freak out.
Right.
She had a hair in her hand.
And that's what they did it for. I think they did it more for us.
Oh,
they did it for us. They knew that the news media was going to grab it and run with it, and that's kind of what I really think.
And put a twist on it, as they usually do.
And have a solid case. There's no need for correction. And so again, it felt like a stunt. It felt a little, disingenuous. I mean, was wrong. Period.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
And the can test evidence, y'all. So you could have tested it.
Were you surprised with the crime scene investigator's testimony?
Surprised in what way?
Do you feel it was thorough? Do you feel that they did everything by the book, by what you heard and listened to? Because I know a lot of people have been, there was a lot of speculation going on beforehand that they bumbled the crime scene. They didn't they didn't do this and they didn't. And we know, obviously, they didn't test this hair. There were, they didn't get the sticks right away. We know there were some things they didn't do. But I just wanted to know from your standpoint as a professional, from what you heard and what you've listened to, from those who were there, do you feel that they did a good job with the crime scene overall?
I'm going to be real clear as I can. Any scene, you can go back and find fault. It's like a wedding, okay? You can spend a year planning that wedding, and something is not going to go the way you thought or wanted or understood it to be. You with me?
Yep.
A lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of prep, and you've done all of this. You picked the song, you got dubs, you got an ice sculpture, and then you're standing up there and you're like, oh my God, I forgot the ring. I bought the ring, but it's back in the room, right? Human nature happens. And in this situation, I think one of the reasons so many of us called so early is we felt like this is an unusual event for them. They do not have child murders, certainly not a double child murder. Not that they were out of their league. And I want you to hear me. They were not out of their league. But this was such an unusual event that you're going to be captivated by what you're seeing, the severity and level of violence that you're seeing. And you're worried about, we got to get these bodies. We've got to help this family. We've got to get the word out. I mean, they thought they were walking home.
Right.
They thought at the worst.
They were at the movies with friends, or they went to a friend's house and forgot to tell people or whatever.
But certainly not this.
Right.
So you had people that the prosecutor, the chief of police, the sheriff, the people with the state police. This is not something they were skilled at because they had done it 5 times. This is the only double child homicide they're ever going to work in their career. So were mistakes made? Yeah. If you want to just get to the bottom line and yes or no, yes. Would I have taken the sticks? Yes. 100%. However, they had the FBI rapid response team there. Why didn't they take them?
Right.
So again, we can Monday morning quarterback, or we can say, hey, they stuck with it for 7.5 years and eventually arrest. Connected some dots, did the best they could. And I want to say something else so everybody can really hear what I'm saying. I can talk to 1,000 detectives, and maybe 840 have never heard of Francine Bardot. They've never heard of the Bardot method. They've never heard of Jared Bradley and the MVAT. All they know to do is send evidence to their state lab. They don't even know a private lab is an option. They've never heard of Dr. and Dr. Middleman. So again, when we call and we say, hey, if you've got an unspent cartridge, I know somebody that has had great success getting DNA off those cartridges. Please let me connect you. But again, they don't know me. They don't know that person. And they're like, who's this crazy person calling from Atlanta? So it's not that they didn't want to do it. I believe they didn't know to do it. And they did the best they had with the training they had, is what I think. But when I hear somebody at the state lab saying this is the limit, this is all we could do, it literally breaks my heart because it's not.
Because there's more.
Of course.
And you want to clarify that because you were talking to me about after in backstage or whatever about the hair and the fact that people are saying DNA couldn't have been gotten from the hair, and speak to that.
I heard people during this whole thing say, well, they couldn't get DNA because proof is intact. That's not true, y'all. It's not true. The man who invented it is right here in Atlanta. And what he does is, I'll just kind of break it down. He can take a hair and he basically boils it, for lack of a better term. And the DNA rises right to the top. He collects it right there on a piece of There we go. We can do a profile.
Wow. I hadn't heard of that before.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But that's what I'm saying. They just don't know it. It's not that they didn't want to do it. They don't know about Dr. Green. But again,
Right.
this is why it's important. If you have information, call and at least tell them. If they do it, great. If they think you're, a wacko, that's okay. But maybe they'll hear it, or maybe they'll go ask somebody, have you heard of this person?
Right.
So,
today we heard the first little bit of, over the weekend and yesterday we heard about the interrogations of him in October of 2022. What
Sure.
was your take on those between Detective Holman and I mean, how do you feel about those?
yeah, I was glad to finally hear them because there had been some speculation what was going to be there. There was people saying they had already heard this or heard that. So it was nice to finally get that. I thought some of it was pretty solid. Some of it, not so much. But I think, again, from what I personally witnessed, and, Frank, you jump in, but those 12 people sitting over there and the alternates, y'all, they are taking notes.
Yes.
They are asking questions that frankly blown my mind. I mean, their questions alone about the DNA, I'm like, well, okay, somebody showed up to play. Like they know what they're talking about. This is not a jury that is not sophisticated.
I agree.
But I think they're going to be able to take this information and discern. He said this, then he did these activities after this happened. He said this. So like when you read some of it, and everybody is not a statement analyst, and I get that, but in your own life, and you're listening even to a political debate, and you're like, they never answered the question.
Right.
Bug you. So there's several times, to me, he did not deny certain things. And the biggest thing is he put himself there.
Yep.
Date, location, real time. He said he was dressed exactly like Bridge Guy. He parked in a place that don't make no sense. And let me explain this for the people that have not been to Delphi and not been to the bridge. When you park at Freedom Bridge, you have a solid walk before you get to the bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Why would somebody that looks like Bridge Guy park further away before he ever started the hike? That's suspect to me right there. Most you're going to pull in that parking lot, get as close as you can,
and then go on your hike. Why would? Yeah, I agree. Why would you park way away?
Okay.
Why are you adding all that walk? I mean, he wasn't out there for exercise. He didn't say he was out there for exercise.
It's not a beautiful walk. There's no path. So you're talking about somebody that not only parked a solid distance away, but now he's got to traverse this field with rocks and divots and holes and Lord knows what. Like, it's not the hike. Inside that area is beautiful. Got designated pathways. It's easy to maneuver all through there. The paths are great. Where he was is down the ramp, across the street, through a field, into a parking lot that is at least, I would say, 3 football fields. Makes no sense.
Unless you're trying to hide yourself.
That's the only impression you can be left with.
Right.
That's what he's doing. And then, he said he backed in. Well, then they went and looked at CVS. He backs in. So now you have a pattern of behavior, right? If he was on that bridge, he would have seen Bridge Guy. He would have seen.
I've been saying that for a long time. Everybody saw Bridge Guy, but Richard Allen. And Richard Allen didn't see Bridge Guy because he is Bridge Guy.
Hey, the other problem I have is, when you think about where he was and he saw them, and now we know that even Abby was saying, is he still behind me? Like he's advancing. They knew it. And again, why, when you say, okay, hey, I want to tell law enforcement I was there, and I was wearing a knit cap and a blue, maybe a black jacket, but I think blue jeans, and I can't remember if it was tennis shoes or work boots or whatever. But I was there that day, that time, whatever. When that picture is finally released, why are you not clearing that up? Why are you not going, wait, that's not me? I know I said I was dressed that way. I know I said I was there that date and time, but that is not me. He has not said definitively, I'm not bridge guy. He has
Right.
said, if that photograph came out of the girl's camera, that's not me.
And why would he say something like that? What is that? What red flag does that bring to you? Does that sound like an innocent person? Something an innocent person would say?
No,
Isn't that weird?
it's weird, but a lot of his phrasing is weird. Most people know now, nobody ever says your camera. Everybody says your phone.
Right.
You take that picture with your phone. Nobody says with your camera, because it's
Right.
not a camera. It's a phone, first and foremost. So the fact that he knew I'm caught on camera, he knew it. He knew it from the harvest market. He knew it from the bridge. At that point, I believe when he first went to law enforcement, he did so because he knew he had been seen.
Yep.
Same reason he changed the height on the fishing license.
Yep.
He's trying to say, oh, well, that can't be him. He's
Yeah,
on,
it can't be me. I'm not that height.
I'm not that tall.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Driver's license.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not to mention, he's the only male out there at the time.
That's right. That's right.
The only male.
And if you think about even what he saw, the women that saw him, he didn't see them. He only saw girls.
He only saw the young girls. Mm-hmm.
But he calls them girls, not, students, not young people, girls. He didn't see any boys. He didn't see any men. He didn't see any grown women.
Right.
And he didn't see Betsy Blair standing there either.
Right.
Yeah. And he also said that he didn't, that it was one girl he thought babysitting the two others, which wasn't true, but that's what he thought. So even though he didn't act like he saw them or paid them any attention, he paid them attention.
But
he knew who they were and age. He was, you know what I mean? He was trying to discern that when he saw them, I think.
And what stuck out for me is when he said they were babysitting, that to me means there was somebody even younger. And he took note of that.
Right. And it was one of the girl's sisters.
Yep.
Yep.
And so my feeling is this guy is weird. I mean, that to me is just a weird statement. I don't know.
But a lot of his statements are unusual. A lot of them are, the way he phrases things are unusual. So again, I mean, I tell people it's the totality. Like you've got to take every single thing that happened, what fits, what doesn't fit, what sounds right. If you were a completely innocent person, I understand getting to the point, arrest me or take me home. I get that. Like some of those statements, I get it. But then the others, I don't like that.
I mean,
that's specific. And where you threw it is specific.
What about when he says it's over?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that, I mean, that really bothered Holman, obviously. Mm-hmm. He's sitting there, what's this guy mean it's over? We're just here getting to see what we can find. Why is he thinking things are over?
I think the timing of that, especially because they find an unspent, cartridge in that memory box.
Yep.
It's the only one of that caliber there too.
Right. So if you're listening to the tape, it sounds like there was a gun rack, right?
Yep.
Did he pick that up and put it in his pocket? But then forget the one at the scene? It's not the same one. I don't know.
Boy, that I never even thought of that one, that part. See why we need you? But I mean, I know when I heard that they took that, when we got the search warrant stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, that bullet in that memory box, you guys, that means something. That's a trophy In my opinion, that's what that says.
That's what we were talking about yesterday, because they were talking about he had high school pictures in it, graduation pictures and stuff like that. And I said,
It's
that's a
just
memory
too
box.
weird that would be there.
A
Yeah.
memory box with one single Winchester round in it. So that's telling you something
It happens
about
to be
that
the
round.
same kind of round, Winchester 40 caliber, that they find at the murder scene.
Correct. So, Libby German gave everything you could possibly want somebody to give you on this scene. She gave us video, she gave us voice, she gave us location, she gave us date and time, real stamped. What more could that child have done in that situation? And you think, again, when I first heard there's video of the guy, I thought this is going to take 5 minutes. And then you think a town of 1,700 people, nobody can say that's him. Not a neighbor, not a coworker, not a family member that don't care about him, not somebody he went to church with or high school. Nobody. Like, that blew my mind. And I'm talking about the first couple of years. Like, how is that possible? That
Especially with the job he had, where he's seeing everybody in town.
right.
I mean, that to me was really crazy.
Crazy.
What was your
As
thought?
to commence the statement by Doug Carter, hiding in plain sight.
Mhm. What's
No
your
doubt
thoughts on
What'd she say? What'd Sheryl say?
I said, there's no doubt about that.
Right.
Because I'll tell you, when I first went there, I told Kelsey and them, do not tell me where the bridge is. Let me see if I can find it. Because when I got there, they were still saying it could be a transient, it could be a truck driver. They're saying all these things. Y'all, I wasn't in that town 2 minutes. And I said, he's from right here. He's from right here. This place is too. Nobody knows that bridge. There's no signage. The
Nope.
overpass,
The first time I drove there, I drove right past it.
I'm right past it.
I drove right past it. I had to turn around.
You can't see it. And the
No.
bridge has the signage. Ain't
Yeah. Yeah.
And then by the time you park, what blew my mind, I was not prepared that houses are right there. I mean, they're
I know.
off
I
the-
know. I
And-
was floored by that as well. I'm like, oh my goodness. You look up from that trail and there's backyards. I mean, it's like they're right there.
Yep.
If someone screamed in that area, they would have to have heard. But I'm thinking Monday afternoon,
Yep.
2:15, they're at work or they're not home.
Mhm.
And that's why people would not have heard them. But there's a lot, people have made a big deal, and the defense has made a big deal of that nobody heard them scream. There's a lot of crimes that happen where people don't hear them scream. So I don't think that's
telling you not to make a sound.
Yeah, exactly. And you're talking about a 13 and a 14-year-old child that has a gun on them, not to mention whatever other horrific thing he was doing. You know what I mean? They had to have been frozen with fear.
Mhm.
And it's like me and you've talked about numerous times, Kristen. Who in their right mind is going to have a gun on somebody, and then people are going to scream?
Yeah.
They're going to obey command immediately, because
And
the fear
especially a
factor,
child. They're going to
the
do
fear
what,
factor
do what
instantly
they are
takes over
told.
their brain, and they're not. Their brain's not developed enough to understand what's going on, so the body just freezes.
Good point. Yep.
So, Mac, tell me what you think about Kathy Allen. It finally came out. We finally kind of know a little bit that she's questioning him.
Mm.
I don't understand how your bullet can be at the crime scene. I don't understand. It sounds to me like she doesn't believe him.
I think she is in the most horrific situation as a spouse.
Oh God.
And I know that he's had some issues that has come out. I know he had some self-harm issues that have come out. And, when he tells her, hey, I was there. And she goes, well, you better tell the police. You might have seen something or know something. And then the police are telling her, yeah, we think he did it. His
Yeah.
bullet there is what she understood.
His bullet's there. It matches his gun.
And she couldn't wrap her mind around it, which who could? I mean, that,
Right.
I mean, in other words, if somebody is talking about harming themselves, how does that translate to killing 2 little girls?
No, exactly.
That's a
And
joke, you
it
know.
doesn't jive. And you can identify with her as well as I can, because we are married to our high school sweethearts. So so was she. So
Mhm.
you know how long you've had this relationship with this person.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden overnight to be pulled
Yeah.
in by the police and said, guess what? Your husband killed 2 people.
Right. Right. And you know, you grow up and you're taught, at least a lot of people are, that the police are there to help you. They're telling the truth. You do what they say. And so I'm sure on some level she accepted what she was hearing from them, but could not
Actually process it, because it's
Well, I also think he's manipulative, and I think he is good at manipulating her. And I think, you know, he's like, you can't believe that I did this. I didn't do this. You know what I mean? It's like when you listen to that, you know,
that's the way I was taking it also when
I'm feeling like, you know,
because
that's not very convincing. You know me. I could never do this.
it was
Well,
like
that's
you
what
were
he's
trying
gonna
to change
say.
the subject on her when she said, well, why was your bullet out there? And all of a sudden he tries to change the subject away from the bullet, if you noticed it.
Yeah. And again, you've got this dynamic where he is then taking control
Mm-hmm.
of her. You leave, don't worry about me. You know, like he's running that, giving her a hug, giving her a kiss, like I'm just
No big deal
yeah.
type situation. Yeah.
And why is he so concerned about her? Why does he keep saying he doesn't matter? I mean, that when they're in that last interrogation with Holman, when Holman tells him, you know that the death penalty's on the table here, and he's like, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, who in their right mind, who is not guilty of something, when they hear the death penalty, it matters. It's huge. I can't wrap my head around that.
Well, he said, I want to die anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
He obviously had some issues. And the way I took everything between the 2 of them, he was going to protect her if he was about to lose his freedom, which is what I think he believed was happening, that she was going to go home, but he was not. I think he thought he was going to be arrested any minute. And that's why he was saying what he did about arrest me or take me home. Take all your evidence and arrest me. You know, you can do what you want to do to me, but you effing leave her alone.
Right.
The last decent thing he can do for her is to let her go home and not be a part of this. He has blown her world up. He has ruined their marriage. If he's guilty, he has ruined their family. He has hurt her beyond repair. She's going to lose her job. She's going to lose her home. Her daughter's got to go hide. I mean, this is the most.
Yeah. And I just, to me, part of me wants to, you know, Frank and I have talked about this, but part of me wants to know, because you and I talked about this, Sheryl, last time you were on the show. How did she not know that was him on the bridge?
Mm-hmm.
She's seen that video as many times as we all have, and maybe even more. You know that she's probably pulled it up on her phone at work and watched it. She's been in the bathroom and she's pulled it up and she's looked at it and she's like, damn, that looks like Rick. She knows what her husband looks like. She's been on hikes with him. She knows. How did she not know?
It's like I was telling Kristen all last week when I was in the courtroom. I sat on the side of the family and I could see directly to the back wall, and they had the big blown up picture of BG. And I could see Rick Allen plain as day in that photo. Plain as day.
Yep.
I mean, the face, the structure, and everything.
Everything. His body type, everything about him. If you put him and sit him next to it, I mean, it's him.
Right.
It's just weird. I mean, and I thought that the first time I saw his his mugshot, I was like, almost fell off my chair because I was like, oh my God.
There's a
I
couple.
was like, oh my God.
I mean,
Because I think he does look like the sketches.
right.
The sketches have always been a contention in this case because we've got two of them, but I think they're from two different perspectives. I think one's from a young person's perspective and one's from an older. And I think that that's why they look so different. But like Doug Carter said, if you put them on top of one another and you move them away, Bridge Guy's going to be standing there. It's like sketches are not photographs. They're not going to look identical.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
the facial structures.
I told Doug Carter that was a huge mistake.
Oh, well, yeah.
It was a huge mistake because when they released the second one, there was, I would say 80% of the people fell off.
Oh, yeah.
No longer interested. Y'all don't even know who you're looking for.
Exactly.
One's an old dude, one's Justin Bieber. Like, what are you doing?
I mean, you listen to what Becky said. She felt like she'd been kicked in the gut.
Yeah, she was right. She had been.
I mean, she was like, for 2 years, we've been putting these flyers out everywhere we could, sending them all over the country.
And she even said the same thing about at first at the beginning of the case. They said it was not social media involvement, and then all of a sudden the Anthony Shots thing came out, and that just busted her bubble again.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, at the press conference, he said we have DNA, and then we learned day before yesterday, no, they don't. I mean, it's like, stop saying things where people are going to infer
Yeah.
they have DNA of his. That's not what happened.
Right.
That's disconcerting for people. But I want to go back to his wife for a minute. If you think about any husband that walks those trails every day and says, oh my gosh, I was there this afternoon. What a horrible thing that happened. The wife doesn't say, you better go tell him you were there. She did. And then when they came to serve the first warrant, she was very concerned, very confused. And then they come back, right? Then for the test. I mean, at some point, you know, I think she did know on some level that something was not right. Even the way he was talking to her on the confessions that have come out so far, you know?
Yeah, that's why I'm like, something has to be like a red flag, and you can kind of hear it when she's talking to him. I can't explain it. She's like, I can't answer that because I don't, you know, when he asks her, you can't believe that I did this, and she's like, I don't know how to answer that question because how did your bullet get there?
And not just that, she hears his voice.
Exactly. She knows that's him saying that.
And then
I was wondering what everybody thought when they heard his voice today.
But when it was, I mean, even when they played the enhanced audio last Thursday, yeah, and you could clearly hear him. It's him. I've heard him speak on numerous occasions at the different hearings because I would intentionally sit directly behind Kathy just to try to get a glimpse of him talking. And every time he'd walk by and say, hi, I love you. And I said, man, that's the same tone. The whole works.
Yep. And like, Frank, you have an unusual voice. The people that love you, you don't think they're going to recognize you?
Oh, yeah. I've got a distinctive voice.
Of course. Well, to me, he does too. Right. Everything. Like even the way he says the word heal. I mean, I don't say it that way. So it's going to give you, I mean, you know what I mean? I don't say the word guys. I don't say that. So,
yeah, we do. We say that up here. We say that up here in the Midwest.
You've got that. You've got the way he says hill, right? So you've got a region, you've got an accent, you've got an area. And again, to me, for her, he said he was there. He's wearing clothes you know he has. He said he had them on. You can.
So I have a question because it's in the chat.
You know.
What about this green scarf that was found at the crime scene? Because we never heard anything about the girls having a scarf. And if he brought that scarf with him, somebody said Kathy Allen looked shocked or shook when that was talked about in court. Is that scarf hers? from their house?
I mean, again, if they didn't get it, they didn't do it. I mean, at this point, it's a non-factor. The state has got days left.
No, yeah, exactly.
You
From
know,
my understanding, I think they're in their case by Friday because the defense is already requesting an inmate to be transported to court on Friday.
okay,
So I believe the defense is starting their case on Friday.
mighty quick, y'all.
Well, I'm just going to say they've got a lot to get through with all these confessions. I mean, I don't know how many they're going to play, but I know they don't want to overwhelm the jury with them, but at the same time, there's a lot of them. And, you know, I have detectives in my family, and they said when you get one confession, you're excited. You can't imagine having 61.
Well, I'm also waiting for, and I hope it's not the box cutter only, but information that only the killer would know.
Yeah, that's what we've been waiting on.
The box cutter.
Right.
You know, but I do only have a few more minutes. So
Yep.
is there anything else you want me to talk
What
about?
was your take on Dr. Core when he said he went home because it had bugged him for months and he started pulling knives out to look for serrated, and all of a sudden he picked up that box cutter? What was your thought when he did that, when he said that?
I think that's smart. I think anytime you have a impression or a pattern or something you cannot figure out what it is, go through your toolbox, go through your kitchen drawer, go through your junk drawer, you know, walk into Walmart or Home Depot.
Were you shocked when he said it was that he thought it was a box cutter?
I was shocked. I mean, the courtroom was just like,
Yeah. Asking me again, I would like for that to have come out before somebody else said it.
Right. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
here's the thing. I'll end with this. Testifying, y'all, is hard. It is so hard because you know you're going to be shredded. You know you're under a microscope. You know, no matter what you say, it's going to be wrong. Okay. And somebody, sometimes smarter, more educated, better trained, is going to come after you. And some of the times, and I don't know if you felt this way, Frank, but they did not answer the question as a follow through like I would have liked them to.
are you speaking on the defensive side or?
I'm talking about law enforcement right now.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
So like they asked Holman, who was the instructor on that class?
Are you talking about at Quantico when he was down there for behavioral?
They asked him several things that he got trained on. He couldn't remember who trained him, but he should have explained that.
Right.
Person that I was the most impressed with was Melissa Ober.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
She was amazing. She was amazing.
Unshakable, her stuff, never sarcastic, smiled, directed her question, polite to the defense. She was great. But then you've got still did not break down what those striations are, where they come from, how does it happen, what does cycling through mean? Y'all, it's so easy, but they didn't break it down to me like they should have. So I would like for them to say, hey, when I said he was deceptive, yes, looking down could be one thing. Folding your arms could be one thing. Looking up could be one thing. Leaning back in your chair could be one thing. But then they said, well, you look down. Is that a sign of deception? And he went, yeah. No, it's not. In other words, you have to have a baseline. So like Jackie Kennedy, when she spoke, she looked off at an angle. She wasn't being deceptive. That's her baseline. That's how she speaks. If you have a blue bandana, Frank is not a gangster. You've got to have 3 identifiers. Now, if he had a blue bandana and a tattoo and jewelry and did a hand sign, now we're getting somewhere. But it's not one thing. So just because he did one thing, he should have qualified very clearly. I'm looking for at least 3 identifiers. And he never said that. That's follow through. Explain in a way they understand it. Because they can understand. They can. So when you say, well, the women on the jury aren't going to understand rifling through, Pez candy. Every time you lift that top, the candy comes out. So the candy up and out because it's cycling through. And an automatic is going to automatically do that, just like that Pez candy dispenser. It's automatic.
Right.
That's it. It's not hard unless you make it hard and you want to speak correctly, but it still comes off clinical.
Do you think Sarah Carbaugh was a strong witness?
Yeah. I mean, listen, everybody's done a great job, y'all. It is as difficult as it is. Think about talking to the person in your life that intimidates you the most. Just think about that person, whether it's a boss or a mother-in-law or whoever. Think about having that feeling, knowing what you're about to say has somebody's freedom in your hand, has somebody's justice in your hand. That ain't easy to do, y'all.
No, I've said on a jury, it's not easy.
Not easy.
It is not easy.
Listen, I hate to, but I appreciate it so much.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I know you've got to go. You've got another commitment, but we were so glad that you stopped in.
Yep. I'm glad to meet you too. I was glad to meet you.
I can't believe we sat 2 people from each other.
I didn't even realize you were there.
Well, honey,
I'm planning to go back by the end of this week. I'm hoping.
Absolutely.
Because I want to catch some of the defense.
Okay. Thanks, y'all.
All right, Sheryl. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
You too.
I didn't even realize she was even in the courtroom.
She's amazing. I just love her to death. I can't say enough about her. Her and Susan both, and they're good friends. But Sheryl she's a rock star. She knows her stuff, and the insight that she brings to things and to cases. I'm not kidding. I mean, you heard the cases that this woman has worked on, and she did call them in the early days for Libby and Abby to try to offer them help. And, and stuff. So, she's just a really great person. And like she said, she believes that all people can help to solve crimes. That's why she likes to have her classes at universities take these cold cases and look at them and see what they can get from them, because the more eyes that you have looking at something, the better.
I would like to pass that Jordan Sofer case down to her, since we've got the whole.
You need to. You should.
Cadoodle.
Yeah, you should. You should. She's the one who put me in contact with Nicole for the Flora case.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Cheryl's the one who got her for me. And so she's amazing. And like I said, if she can help, she will. She's
now
really
let's talk
cool.
about some of these statements from today.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. People were wigging out. People were just wigging. Especially the one I posted out there where he said, I wasn't psychologically whatever when I killed the girls. And I'm thinking, why in the hell would you even say that? I wanted to shoot myself. I'm like, what? Hold on here. Am I reading this right? Because to me, it's almost like a backdoor admission. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. There were a lot of things that stuck out to me. And like I said, I was, when I was reading over the transcript of WTHR and Wish, I was looking at their stuff, and I sent them both to you because I wanted you to see how you get 2 different people what they thought was important. Because one of them left a whole bunch of stuff out, and another person, you know what I mean? You could see the difference in the reporting.
What was her name again on Wish?
Oh, on Wish is hold on a second. It's
Kylie or Kyrie or Kylie Russell.
Yeah, it's Russell. Yeah.
Her first name, because I believe I knew who it is, and me and her talked when Dr. Core was on the stand, and she said, I can't believe that box cutter came out of his mouth. And I said, I think that was a shock moment in the courtroom. And then she went live because she was getting ready to get in front of the camera. So she reports basically everything that goes on in the courtroom. She's one of those reporters, journalists that does not leave stuff out. And that's what I like about her. I'll read her stuff, but all the other ones, I know they edit a lot of stuff out of there that's important for us to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I like I said, I think too that I thought it was interesting when Clemens told the jury today that Richard Allen wasn't acting crazy. His shift in behavior was more like a flip of a switch.
Yeah.
And he said that he acted normal unless his attorneys were around or his family.
Wow. Try to put on the crazy act.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we kind of figured that one out from the onset when the picture came out with the red jumpsuit on, and he had whatever the hell that was down in front of him. You know, I kind of figured that was all set up and planned like that.
Yeah.
You're reading through the chat too.
So one of the things the Westville prison guard Ethan Drang, when he was on the stand today, he said on April 5th of 2023 at 8:46 a.m., Allen reportedly said, "I think coming to prison has cured my depression and anxiety. Do you want my Bible?" And then later, Drang said Allen slipped an interview request under the door. He had no training when someone is faking a mental health condition. He continued describing Allen's day on April 5th, and at 7:25 a.m., Allen was crying and screaming. He later told the jury that Allen was upset anytime he returned to his cell. And the jury chimed in for questions asking what was inside the yellow envelope from April 5th, which Drang said was the interview request. Kyla Russell mentioned that there is a huge discrepancy on when this interview request came in because on the note, it's written it was received March 5th, 2023, and Drang did not receive the note until April 5th. So they're assuming that it was the wrong date was written at the top, the received date. But that could be huge. I mean, they're going to have to explain that. Discrepancy in the dates.
Sorry, I'm reading the chat.
You're fine.
I have a bad feeling, though, when the defense comes to do to present their case, Kelsey is going to get tore apart. They're going to try to tear her apart. Just because of that hair.
I think that Kelsey is a lot stronger than people think she is, and I hate that she's going to have to go through this, and that the defense is going to try to knock holes. But I'm here to tell you that I believe Francis Gull and Nick will do everything in their power to protect her.
Yeah, especially being pregnant, because
she's pregnant, and they need to know that they can't just go at her like that. I mean, I would think that would be, because the stress of it is not good for that baby or her pregnancy.
Hey, John Francis, like I told you, you won't rarely see me ever use a news station stuff because of the same situations you're talking about. They leave a lot of stuff out that is very important that we need to know.
Yeah, they pick and choose what they report, just like anybody else does. They don't want to give everything, but that's why I like to look at a couple or three to get different viewpoints on what they saw or heard. And then I always like to look or talk to the people that I know and trust that are in the courtroom to see if what they said is true. Just like today, in this reporting, they're saying that there was laughter in the courtroom. And I'm thinking to myself, who in the hell can laugh during the trial, a murder trial of 2 children? What in the hell could be funny that caused somebody to laugh? And now we've got people saying Kathy Allen was laughing. And I haven't heard that. It hasn't been reported that Kathy Allen was laughing. If somebody was actually in the courtroom that's in chat and saw Kathy Allen laughing, that's one thing. But until I see it or hear it from somebody that I trust, I'm not putting that out there because I think that's wrong to do. But yeah, I would like to know why there was laughter in the courtroom.
And I do know that also Judge Gull ended up having to read some of the actual interview transcripts because of how loud they were being played in the courtroom. People couldn't hear it, so she had to actually read from the transcript some of the things that were being said in the audio.
Interesting. We don't talk about other creators in here, you guys. So everybody who's talking about Rick Snay, he's old news and he's a nothing burger, in my opinion. So don't even bring his name into our chat. If you guys want to talk about him, go take it into a Discord or take it somewhere else.
Because then it disrupts the chat and the reason
it
why
does.
we're here,
and then it gets people starting to talk about that, and none of us care about that. We're here about the trial.
And the girls.
And the girls. This is about justice for Abby and Libby. It's not about YouTubers being crazy fools. It's okay, badass American. I'm just saying we don't want to talk about him. They said that people laughed when Richard Allen called Holman an asshole. Okay. I don't think there's anything funny about any of it. I don't think there's anything funny about any of this case and the things that are said. And we just have to remember that, that this isn't funny. Thanks, Gibbo. I did hit 9,000 this week. Thank you.
Break, get away from the crime door. What do you mean, Gibbo? He likes.
We're trying to get Frank back to Delphi, guys. So if you're able to donate to him, please make sure that you do. Let me put up his Cash App. Hang on one second, because I've got it right here. It's right here. It's on the bottom of the screen.
And I also have Buy Me a Coffee.
And so if you guys are able to donate, please do. It's okay, Shane. I'm just saying that,
Yeah, I'm trying to get at least a few days of the defense's case into, and I definitely want to be there when they have closing arguments and when it gets to the jury, because people are going to be camping like a MF right in front of that courthouse when the jury gets the case. Because everybody's going to want to be in there for the reading of the verdict, if there is a verdict.
People tend to look at this case similarly to a sporting event, and I have a problem with that, because this isn't a sporting event, and it's not about who's making points and who's winning, and you have to wait until everything's presented, and that
that's what we've been saying.
And that includes the defense, guys.
And the totality of the whole case.
The whole case. This is not just
about
this is not just about what Nick is doing in the prosecution. This is about everything. And so
you just can't take everything that the prosecution has given to us and run with it. You've got to be able to hear the defense and see how they try to rebuttal and see which one makes more sense.
Right. Because no matter what, he is innocent until proven guilty. In my eyes, I think that they've got a case. And in my eyes, if I was sitting on that jury, from what I've seen so far, I would be leaning towards guilty. Only because of what I already know. And I haven't even heard the rest of the confessions.
From the things that I've seen since I was there and what I've heard already this week, I'm leaning more to the guilty also. Now, if there's something that the defense can really sway me when they present their case that adds up and makes sense, so be it. But I cannot as of right
It's
now,
like I told Sheryl tonight when she was backstage. No matter what, this case is about Bridge Guy. And he took the girls off the bridge against their will. He kidnapped them. In the state of Indiana, if you die during a kidnapping, whoever kidnapped you is guilty of murder. If Richard Allen is Bridge Guy, he's guilty. And I think they've already proven he's Bridge Guy.
I believe so.
And that's how I feel about this. And I just don't know where you can, the timeline in this case is so tight. I don't know how you can, there's how you punch holes into it. Or you can,
Oops, sorry, hold on.
the timeline in this case is so.
Sorry.
It's okay.
All right. Good now.
And like I said, I mean, I think that, the defense is doing everything that they can to try to poke a hole here or poke a hole there or put reasonable doubt in the minds of the jurors. But I think Sheryl's right. I think this jury is very smart. I think they're asking really good questions, which shows they are engaged and they are listening to the evidence. And I think that they'll be able to reach a verdict. I do not think we're going to have a hung jury.
That's our opinion as of right now, at mine at least. Now, like I said, I want to be able to hear a few days of the defense's case before I go in 100%. Everything's been presented to us now. It's Richard Allen.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But you also got to remember the defense can pull something out of that rabbit hat that might cause you to say, well, damn, where'd this come from? We didn't know about this.
I think it's real interesting that the only phone missing is his phone from 2017. And he says that Kathy turned it in. Why? When all the rest of the phones they kept. Was that done? Did he do that on purpose? Did he have her do that on purpose?
Well, return it, you mean, as far as
Yeah,
getting a new
he turned
phone?
it in to get a new phone.
Okay.
And so my feeling is, what better way to get rid of it?
Knowing you're not going to be able to find it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, just some of his actions, I mean, as strange as it is.
I don't think that he is the normal guy that everybody thinks that he may be. Like, he may be one person to his family, and it sounds like he has had some mental issues. We don't know when he tried to hurt himself. I haven't heard if that was before or after the girl's murder.
Right.
If it was after the girl's murder, to me, that's telling. It's huge. This guy is feeling tons of guilt over what he did. And that could very well be a lot of why he has behaved in the manner in which he has.
And also,
and he knows that the writing's on the wall and he's guilty. And just
we
like
got a motive. And we have a motive.
Oh, remember? We do have a motive.
Yep. You were telling me about it today.
Yeah. He said that he was sorry for molesting Libby and Abby and also for Kevin and Chris. And we don't know who that is. And, this guy, for whatever reason, sounds like a pedophile. And we don't know what his history of that is. We don't know if he was living the pedophilia just in videos and whatever online, or has he actually harmed
other children?
And we didn't know. And when I say harmed, I'm not talking about murder. I'm talking about sexual assault, molestation.
It's going to be interesting what they uncover with those Google.
Yes, CJK, that was stated in court today. That was one of the things that he told the people that were watching him on Suicide Watch. That was one of the statements that he made. He was talking to God. And Kevin is a boy. I don't know about Chris. Chris could be Christine. It could be Christopher. We don't know. No, his children, as far as I know, his daughter doesn't have any children. But I've seen photographs on Kathy's Facebook where they have a lot of family and friends over in their backyard. There's photographs out there of him with other family members and friends, and they have kids. So,
like I said, it's going to be very interesting if she grants them to do whatever they have to do to pull his emails from back then and see if they can pull any, see what he was researching or what they could find.
And a lot of these guys that live in this kind of world, they live two separate lives, and they basically, nobody knows about this side of them. Nobody knows that they partake in this type of entertainment, whatever the heck, however you want to call it. I hate to use that word, but it's just a sickness. You know, it's a sickness. And I think it's rare for someone to kill two children. It's very rare. It's very rare to have a double homicide. Double homicides are not common at all. And the double homicide of children are even more rare. So, yeah. And I've said it before, you can't turn psychosis on and off, you guys, no matter how much people want to say it or how much the defense is going to try to say that. It's, to me, it's telling if law enforcement is telling us that they were watching him and they were doing reports every 15 minutes of him, written reports of what he was doing, what he was saying. And if this guy is acting normal and doing normal things, except for when his attorneys are around or coming or whatever, or his, you know, his family, whatever, that's pretty telling.
You know what I mean? Back to the motive from what we know is because he had to kill the girls because he wanted to spend as much time with his family before he got caught.
Yes, the daughter moved out of state, from what I know.
She lives here in Indiana.
Oh, she does?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's not out of state. She's still in Indiana.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, if you run a background on Richard and Kathy, they're using her address.
Ah.
That's where all their mail's going to, I believe.
So.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, you know, he makes the statement, you know, that nobody's going to believe I did this. The people who know me know I couldn't do this. And, you know, most people don't know the evil that lurks behind doors. You don't know. It's just, we can go back to Keegan Kline. I mean, you don't know that these people are doing these things until they get caught. You have no way of knowing. And in some families, if there is incest in families or there's sexual assault in families, sometimes family members know. But I don't know. It's just pretty spooky to me because he said, and I think, Frank, you heard this in another court, either a document or whatever, that we did hear him say that he had molested others. And that now we know what it is because it came out today in court in the testimony. And he actually said their names. And he was talking to God when he said it.
Oh boy, we're going to have to do some research to see if we can find a Kevin or a Chris in the family line somewhere.
Yeah. So whoever that is.
You know,
and
it makes, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but we don't know if there was this kind of issue at home when it came to his own daughter.
No, absolutely. We have no way of knowing what was going on there. And If this guy has this inkling to be with children or whatever, it makes you very fearful for what could have been transpiring with his own daughter.
Right.
And if he,
we're not saying anything happened, so
I'm not saying
please
anything
don't
happened.
take this
I'm
out
just
of
saying
context.
that these are red flags. And
right.
if people are
I'm
talking
just saying
about,
to the people out there, because you know how they're going to
Oh,
try
yeah.
to twist this shit.
And what could have been a trigger? People have talked about what would have triggered him to do this. His daughter got married and moved out.
But she didn't get married and moved out until 2017, though. But she had moved out prior in 2016. We knew that she got engaged in 2016.
Right. He knew what the writing was on the wall. She had somebody else in her life, and she was going to be moving, getting married and leaving. So, yeah, it's just really strange. And like I said, I mean, we don't know. I'm sure that law enforcement has tried to check into who Kevin and Chris are. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully Nick will wrap this all up. We have all these questions, you guys, and that's what closing arguments are for. He's presented his case, and in closing arguments, he will wrap this all up in a nice little package. He'll go all the way back through it and explain. I saw somebody in chat earlier say they would like to know more about what happened after Down the Hill. Well, he's going to try to tell us what happened after Down the Hill to the best of his ability. They're not going to know everything, you guys.
Well,
So I don't know that he snapped. I think that this was planned.
And for anybody that's wondering who was the target, as far as we could see as of right now, both girls were the targets.
Yes. Yeah.
There's no one or the other. Just because Libby took the brunt of the injuries doesn't mean that she was the target. It doesn't mean that. From all indications, like we said, it looks like both girls were the target.
Oh, thanks, Badass American. It's just all of my spiders.
Oh, God. Thank God they're way away where we can't see them.
Those are just all my spiders behind me and around me. They're all around me. Hey, Mr. Steve, how are you? The one thing he knows is he doesn't know everything. Yeah. I mean, again, none of us know everything.
Nope. We only know what information is given to us.
And we are learning. I just, my eyes are just, today was a real
every 5
experience.
minutes she's sending me a message. Call me.
I'm like, oh my God. You're not going to believe what was just said.
And I'm sitting there reading the same thing as she's sitting there reading on the other side of the state here. And I'm like, yeah, this is what she's talking about.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
And I'm just like, and Frank's like, we should go live. And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, let's go live. And I'm like, okay, let's go live. So then I reached out. I looked on my app and to look on my Twitter, because what happened last Thursday night when Sheryl was supposed to be here, she was driving to Delphi, and she was on Wednesday night or whatever night it was. And she was driving to Delphi, and she hit an area where there wasn't any cell coverage. So she couldn't come on the live. And she felt bad. And she told me, she said, let me know when you want me to come on. So today, after I decided, I'd send her the message, and I said, hey, I'm going live tonight. Can you pop on? That's why I went early, guys. And I'm sorry if you have to go back and rewatch. I'm sorry that happened. But
yeah, I got the notification late too. I mean,
yeah.
She sent me the link, then all of a sudden I get a text. We're going live early because we're having Sheryl. I was like, well,
yeah, because I was like, I was like, I gotta go. I knew she had another interview scheduled, and I felt honored that she was giving me the time, and I wanted you guys to get her perspective, because she's just amazing. Stephanie, that was really hard for me too. When we heard about Libby's tears, it's gut-wrenchingly horrific. And I can't imagine being Carrie and Becky and all of them sitting there listening to this. So, and again, that was something that did jump out at me today. Even though they've made a big deal about that they weren't sexually assaulted, we don't know if they were molested. There's a lot of things that he could have done that would not have shown.
Right.
And that's the thing that we don't know and we'll never know. So, and it's just sad. But I do think it's interesting when he said that he was in Peru that morning, because remember we were all trying to figure out, did he go to work? Was he off work? And he said that he was in Peru at his mother's and left about 11:15, came home, grabbed a coat, and headed to the bridge.
It just makes you wonder if he was following them in some kind of way.
It really does make you really, really wonder about Peru. I'm so sorry, but I don't want to go there. And I don't want to go back down that. I don't want to go back down that thing. But my feeling is something. Why would you leave Peru, visiting your mom, and rush home, grab a coat, and go to the bridge when you only go there a few times a year? Exactly. Why are you going that day? Why? What? You know, what? Something, there's something there.
That's why I can't wait for the computer searches. his email.
And it could very well be that he knew the kids were off school.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to find kids alone out there at the bridge. It could have been that simple. So
it is a little strange about the Peru.
No, Melissa, the crime scene text talked about there were tears on what appeared to be tears on Libby's cheeks.
Steve says that's what I do believe. What does that say?
What did Steve say?
He said he's right there toward the bottom.
Oh, that's what I do. Leave mom at lunchtime and go home, pick up a coat and go to the bridge. Not, yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, like Carrie said, he grabbed more than just his coat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, don't even go there, Carrie.
Oh God, I know. I just don't even want to. I don't even want to. I don't even want to. I don't.
Trying to avoid all that.
CJK says if his brother-in-law catfished girls, then she believes he did as well. I didn't know that his brother-in-law did.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
But we do know that his brother's Facebook did get hacked.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, crazy.
Tomorrow is going to be interesting.
Tomorrow will be interesting, you guys, and just stay tuned. And all I can say is hang on, because we've got a lot more to hear, a lot more to come. And if you think that this has been hard, you haven't even begun the hard part yet. The hard part is going to be listening to the defense.
Yeah.
You guys think that the prosecution's been hard because we've had to listen to what happened to the girls? Yes, absolutely horrific. And I will agree with that. But you wait for those of us who believe that Richard Allen is Bridge Guy. It is going to be very, very difficult to listen to the defense.
And I can't stand listening to Rosie's. I got up and walked out during the hearing.
Like I said, these guys have egos that are a mile long. And so it will be interesting to see how they project in this trial.
Oh, I can't stand listening to Rosie. I remember during the 3-day hearing, I got up and walked out because he was pissing me off.
Right.
It's like, this dude, man, I wish I could just him. But
Yeah,
I was like,
Louise,
I
you
know
are
he did his
absolutely
job.
right. Yep. Oh, the phone. He told law enforcement that Kathy Allen turned it in. But that was what I thought was interesting too, is he couldn't tell them who he had as a carrier back in 2017, but he knew everything else, but he couldn't remember who he had as a cell phone carrier. Most of us know who our cell phone carrier is. I don't think we all switch that often, but that's just me. I've had the same cell phone carrier for 25 years.
I still feel like that these emails are going to turn up something. I just have a feeling it's going to turn up something that we don't want to get into.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I just don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, we've been on here for a while, so it's time to say goodnight, as you guys will know. And, it's like, I thank Frank for coming on with me. We had a very eventful day. I feel like I spent the day with him because we've talked so many times today.
That was just, I was like, man, look at all this stuff that keeps coming. And I'm like, whoa, what the hell is he saying in here? My God. So now we're actually getting to hear exactly what some of these confessions were about.
Lisa says, it says he has a Chris and a Kevin relative on Spokio. I don't know what Spokio is.
Steve says most interrogations and interviews are civil. Even when the offender becomes hostile, that is the persona we like the jury to witness. The other side of him. Like he said, he flips that hostile.
He flips that switch. Well,
yeah.
Holman tells him, we know you have an anger problem. So, but it's just crazy. It is crazy. But I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for hanging in there with us. And like I said, we want to get Frank back to Delphi. So if you guys can donate, please. Thank you.
I'm ready to get back there because, like I said, I want to start seeing some of the defense and what they're planning to do. And that's be easier to report on because it'll give me an angle on which way they're leaning on what kind of defense they're going to try to pull. Because I still feel like they're going to try to pull in third or Odinism somehow or some way.
Oh, CJK, I deep dived some of Tony Klein's friends. There was some real strange stuff going on Pinterest. That's all I can say.
Him and Keegan
Pinterest is not just about decor.
They also have Keegan and Tony were on Poshmark.
Oh my God, that's weird. That was weird, I thought. But the Pinterest thing with the little girl princess stuff was just bizarre.
Well, I appreciate you having me on here with you tonight, Kristen. Everybody in the chat, thank you for hanging out.
Yep.
Tomorrow's going to be another eventful day, guys.
Will you hold up my girls for me?
Yes, ma'am, I sure will.
Thank you. Justice is coming, Libby and Abby. And, Abby and Libby are the reason that we're here. And just like Sheryl said, Libby was a hero, you guys. She gave us everything we needed. She gave us everything. Oh, Steve wants to know, was Richard Allen's interview voice close to Bridge Guys? Who wants to answer that?
I would say yes.
Yes.
And then when I heard the Bridge guy on the enhanced audio on Thursday, it was him to me because, like I said, as many times as I've been to the hearings, I've specifically sat behind Kathy for a specific reason, to catch him talking so I could try to compare his voice to the Bridge guy. Now that I've heard the enhanced, it's him to me. That's just my opinion.
Huge. Gail, thank you so much. That is so kind of you. Guys, make sure you go check out to see if you can find your gifts to the channel, your memberships. And thank you so much, you guys. I love all of you. And thank you to all of my moderators for being here and keeping things real. Sending hugs to Abby and Libby's family. We're with you 100%. We are with you. And we will wait for tomorrow, guys.
We'll be back.
Yeah.
Good night, guys.
Night,
Love
guys.
y'all.
Love
Now
you.
she just 14 months. Good job, Gail.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.